You've been home all day. Your cat has been in the same room for most of it, close enough that you could reach them without getting up. And they have not acknowledged your existence once. No eye contact, no movement toward you, nothing. You try. You call their name. You make the sounds that usually work. You extend a hand in their general direction. They look at you with an expression that suggests you are a minor inconvenience in an otherwise acceptable day, and they look away. And then, 3 hours later, at a time you did not choose and cannot predict, they walk across the room and climb directly onto your lap, or they press their face against your hand, or they stand on your chest at 6 in the morning and purr with an intensity that feels almost aggressive, on their schedule, entirely on their terms, as if the hours of being ignored were simply the natural prelude to this moment. Most people take this personally. They interpret the ignoring as indifference and the sudden affection as proof that their cat only cares about them when something is needed. That reading is wrong, and understanding why it's wrong changes the entire relationship. 1. Ignoring you is not the opposite of loving you. Start here, because everything else depends on getting this right. Cats are not dogs. This is obvious, but the implications run deeper than most people follow them. Dogs evolved over thousands of years in a relationship with humans that selected heavily for social responsiveness. A dog that oriented constantly toward its person, that sought approval, that monitored emotional states and responded visibly, was a dog that thrived in human company. That's the dog we have today. Cats domesticated differently. They were not selected for social responsiveness to humans in the same way. They were selected for hunting ability, for territorial competence, for the capacity to live near humans without requiring constant management. The relationship was useful but not emotionally symbiotic in the same direction. What this means practically is that a cat's default state is not orientation toward you. Their default state is self-contained, comfortable, monitoring the environment broadly rather than focusing it on your face. When your cat sits in the same room as you for 3 hours without acknowledging you, they are not withholding something. They are simply in their default state. And their default state, for a cat who feels safe and settled, is exactly that: calm, present, not needing anything. The absence of visible affection is not the absence of affection. It is a cat who is comfortable enough in your presence to simply exist without performing anything. 2. They've been paying attention the whole time. You just couldn't see it. Here's what was actually happening during those 3 hours. Your cat knows where you are. They have known every minute. Their ears have been making small adjustments toward you each time you moved or made a sound. Their nose has been passively collecting information about your state, your activity level, whether anything about you has shifted. When you got up to get water, they clocked it. When you changed position on the couch, they registered it. When your phone made a sound and your breathing changed slightly, they noticed that too. None of this looked like attention because none of it was performed for you. Cats do not signal their awareness the way humans do. They don't make eye contact to show you they're listening. They don't turn toward you to demonstrate engagement. Their attention is quiet, continuous, and almost entirely invisible to us because we're used to reading attention through the social cues of other humans. Your cat was with you during all of it. They just weren't showing you. This is also why cats so often appear from nowhere when something is wrong. They weren't elsewhere and suddenly summoned. They were there the whole time, running a background monitoring process on you that you couldn't see, and when something in that process flagged a change, they responded to it. The ignoring was never what it looked like. It was attention, wearing a different face. And if this is reframing something you've wondered about for a long time, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more cat owners who want to understand what their cat is actually doing when it looks like nothing. 3. Their schedule is not random. It's precise. Now, let's talk about the timing, because the sudden affection doesn't arrive at a random moment, and it never did. Cats are creatures of extraordinary internal rhythm. Their sleep and wake cycles, their activity peaks, their hunger patterns, all of it runs on a biological clock that is more consistent than most people realize. Cats who live closely with humans gradually shift these rhythms to align with their person's patterns, but the underlying architecture of peaks and valleys in their energy and social drive remains. The moment your cat decides to seek you out is almost never spontaneous. It aligns usually with a transition point in their internal cycle, coming out of a deep sleep, moving from a rest period into an active one. The shift between the low stimulation middle of the day and the higher energy period of late afternoon. Your cat isn't randomly deciding to care about you. They're entering a phase of their cycle where social contact becomes something their system is oriented toward. And you, the most important presence in their environment, are the natural target of that orientation. Watch the timing over several days, and you'll find it's more consistent than it seemed. The 4 o'clock arrival on your lap, the early morning press against your shoulder, the post-dinner circuit around your legs. These aren't moods, they're rhythms. And once you see them as rhythms, they stop feeling like rejection followed by charity and start feeling like what they actually are. A relationship with its own structure, one that operates on different logic than yours but no less real for that. 4. The on their terms part is not a power dynamic, it's a trust signal. This is the piece that most people find hardest to accept because it requires reframing something that genuinely feels like rejection. When your cat approaches you on their terms, refusing contact when you initiate it and seeking it when you don't, they are not asserting dominance. They are not punishing you for earlier attempts. They are doing something that is, once you understand it, one of the more significant things they can show you. They feel safe enough to have preferences. A cat who is anxious, who doesn't fully trust their environment or the people in it, often shows the opposite behavior. They seek contact constantly because contact feels like safety, and they need safety urgently. They don't have the luxury of preferences because their baseline state doesn't allow for them. A cat who can ignore you for 3 hours and then decide when they want closeness is a cat operating from a position of security. They know you'll be there when they're ready. They know the approach will be welcomed. They know the relationship is stable enough to tolerate the gap between the moments of contact. The on their terms is not control, it's confidence. And confidence in a relationship means they trust it enough to not need to constantly confirm it. 5. What happens when you stop reaching for them tells you everything. Test this if you want to understand your cat more clearly than anything else in this video will show you. For 1 week, stop initiating. Don't call their name to get them to come to you. Don't extend your hand when they're sitting nearby. Don't reach for them when they walk past. Just be present, calm, available, without making any move toward them. What happens in almost every case is that the cat comes more, not less. The approaches happen sooner after you enter a room. The contact lasts longer when it arrives. The cat who was avoiding your outstretched hand is suddenly sitting against your leg. This seems counterintuitive until you understand what was happening before. Every time you reached for your cat, you were, from their perspective, making a demand. A gentle demand, a loving demand, but a demand. And cats, who are exquisitely sensitive to pressure, respond to demands by creating distance. When you stop reaching, the pressure lifts. And into the space where the pressure was, your cat moves toward you. This is not a manipulation technique. It's just what happens when you start communicating in a language that makes sense to them, available without demanding, present without requiring a response. The cat who ignored you wasn't rejecting you. They were waiting for you to stop asking and just be there. 6. The moment they choose you is the whole thing. Here's what I want you to hold on to. Every time your cat walks across a room and settles against you without being asked, that moment contains everything. All the hours of being in the same space without contact. All the times they monitored you quietly from across the room. All the trust that accumulated in the ordinary, unremarkable time you spent together without anything particular happening. They came from that. That moment of contact is not separate from the ignoring that preceded it. It's the result of it. It's what becomes possible when a cat feels safe enough, settled enough, and certain enough of you to cross the distance on their own. A cat who seeks you out has made a choice with no social pressure behind it. No training, no incentive, no cue from you that now is the time. They decided, on their own, from their own internal state, they decided that you were where they wanted to be. You cannot manufacture that. You cannot ask for it, or schedule it, or make it happen faster by wanting it more. You can only create the conditions that make it possible and then wait. And when it arrives, When that small warm weight settles against you at a time you didn't choose and couldn't have predicted, that's not your cat finally deigning to notice you exist. That's your cat telling you something they've known the whole time. They just needed it to be their idea.